Hi. We've been waiting for y'all today. By the way, we're going to have the food thing in about next week. Next week. Now, that we won't tell them the date on TV because it'll confuse them. But on this same day of the week, next week, everybody bring your ethnic food. We're going to have a cultural ethnic food fight. So, well, it's a week from today. So don't say the date because it'll confuse everybody. But everybody bring food because we're filming this class at 1 o'clock and most people bring food in and eat it. So we're going to do that. We're still going to have our presentations and give you another stimulating, informative lecture from Dr. Agan. And so is that cool, everybody? Ethnic food? Yes.
Are you going to bring plates and stuff?
Do I need to bring plates?
Oh, yeah, I mean, somebody got to bring plates.
Can you bring plates?
Yeah.
Okay, and forks? Who's bringing forks? Plastic forks? This is like a picnic. This is wonderful. Okay, we're working as a team here. Okay, so everybody, a week from now, and I'll present it next class. I'll remind you all of it. But we usually have business we have to do before we go to film, and we're doing it now. Okay, the last class we were looking at Islam, which y'all did a fabulous job, and I love the tape, the deal. It was so neat, and learned a lot and good experiences. And we looked at issues about biculturality. Oops, TV's not on. And we looked at what it is, and I won't go over it just to say that we did. And it's when somebody's having experience in two different cultures and neither are superior. One is a minority and one's a majority culture. And then you'll remember we looked at the six factors of cultural overlap, the cultural translators, mediators, and models. This is how we integrate between bicultures or tricultures. We looked at the corrective feedback. You have it all in your notes. You have it last class. This is a good test question. And then 4, 5, and 6 were if you have good problem-solving skills, requires good ego strength and stuff. Anyway, you have it on your notes. And then language skills, because sometimes you're bilingual, literally. Sometimes you speak the same language, but it's shortcut language in different cultures. And where is half the class right through here? Where are these people? Anyway, I need y'all to go ahead and finish coming this semester because you won't get any benefit of the doubt if you don't show up. So you got to do that. Just had to throw it out there. Little family sharing in here. We're bonding. And then the last one is appearance. Cool? Today we're going to start to look at just the religions of the world, and I've got about a 20-minute film that's really good. There's something like 1,500 different religions in the United States, and this zippy little film is pretty nifty. Maybe we ought to just show that. Who's presenting today? One? You're the only presenter? Oh, you're presenting too. Do you have lots of stuff, or you want me to show the film first? Okay, let's show the film first. Let's just put that little puppy on right now. Is that cool?
Dwellings in the southwest. Today, Mescalero Apaches, another Southwest people, perform the ancient dance of the mountain spirits. Impersonating spirits from the sacred mountain, dancers call forth the spirits to drive away illness and evil and to bring good fortune. Performed here at a folklife festival, the dance is an important ritual in Apache religious ceremonies. The Constitution of the United States, signed in 1787. The First Amendment was added in 1791. It reads in part, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. The heart of North America became a magnet for people of different faiths from all around the world.
And of the Holy Spirit.
Today, some 1,500 religions find voice in North America. Ironically, while the authors of the Constitution were interested in religious freedom for themselves, they sometimes denied the same rights to others, most particularly African slaves and Native Americans. The former Europeans understood from their own experience that religion can be a powerful rallying and bonding force for a people. Traditional religious gatherings among slaves and among Indians were considered subversive and dangerous. Their African religions may have been banned, but the people didn't forget their heritage. While many adopted Christianity as a way of maintaining human dignity in the face of slavery, African Americans added spirituals, their own unique musical expression of faith.
Take me to the water. Stand up now. Take me to the water.
More people in North America follow Protestant faiths than any other. Named for the people who broke away in protest from the Roman Catholic Church in the early 16th century, Protestants are themselves divided into a number of denominations. Baptists, one of the largest Protestant denominations in North America, believe in baptizing adults and children rather than infants, so the people are fully aware of the choice they are making to become Christians. Immersed in the baptismal water, the participant is symbolically washed clean of sin and formally committed to following the teachings of Jesus Christ.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost.
Many of the world's religions originate in the teaching of a founder, and these teachings are then collected in sacred books called Scripture. The Bible is important to Jews and to Christians, for it contains the Scripture for both religions. The New Testament deals with the life and times of Jesus Christ, a Jewish prophet whom Christians believe to be the Son of God. Roman Catholics have played an important role in the history of religion in North America. For Catholics, as for Protestants, rituals of change, like baptism, symbolize entrance into a religious community. Catholic infants are baptized as soon as possible. Every year in New York City, a statue of San Gennaro is prepared for the ceremony that honors him. Catholics of Italian descent dress the patron saint of Naples, Italy, in bishop's mitre and scarlet cloak. It's considered an honor to help carry the saint through the streets to be blessed at Most Precious Blood Church. Mexican Americans are also traditionally Roman Catholics, and the church plays an important part in every aspect of their lives. Today, Celia Vargas and her family are celebrating her quinceañera. She's just turned 15, which means in her community that she's no longer a child. The quinceañera is an important social event for Celia and her entire family. The church plays its part by holding a special mass or service in honor of her coming of age. Because the local community is mostly Spanish-speaking, the mass is given in Spanish. Celia's friends mark the occasion with gifts.
Dios Todopoderoso te conceda participar en su alegría. Amén. Que nuestro Señor Jesucristo te conceda superar las dificultades de esta vida. Amén. Y que a todos vosotros aquí presentes.
People have always looked to religion to help them understand times of change in their lives.
Espíritu Santo. Amén. Podéis ir en paz, la misa ha terminado. Le damos un aplauso.
In the quinceañera, religion solemnizes a cultural ceremony that brings friends and family together to celebrate a girl's passage to adulthood. Benjamin Case is Jewish. For him, coming of age is important culturally, socially, and especially religiously. At 13, he's now bar mitzvah, which means son of the commandment.
Let us declare the greatness of our God and give honor to the Torah.
Benjamin can now be called upon to give the weekly reading from the Torah. Consisting of the first 5 books of the Bible, the Torah is the very foundation of the Jewish faith. The Torah scrolls are hand-lettered by special scribes in Hebrew, the language in which most of the Old Testament was written. The reader always uses a silver pointer so as not to harm the letters with his touch. Unlike members of many other religions, Jews consider themselves an ethnic community as well as a religious community.
Depended upon to carry the folk forward. And we place the heritage.
Jews can be Jewish even if they don't practice the religion of Judaism.
We've transmitted the tradition to your capable and inquiring mind. Now, we don't look to you to parrot the tradition, but to develop it and to strengthen it. We also count on you to be the proud bearer of our legacy. Joy and fulfillment has already given you intelligence and looks. So we wish you all that God's most precious gift of shalom, of peace and harmony, as we say, Mazel Tov, welcome, glad to have you.
At a place called Yogaville in rural Virginia, the ancient discipline of yoga finds new converts. Yogaville was founded by Sri Swami Satchidananda, a guru or teacher. A way of life and a system of worship, yoga originated over 2,000 years ago. Part of the Hindu religion, yoga means joining of the mind to God. Today, people of all ethnic backgrounds come to learn and to worship at Yogaville and to pay their respects to Shiva, one of the most important of Hinduism's many gods. Participants in Hindu rites are marked with a tilak, an ornamental dot on their foreheads. Youngsters at Yogaville learn traditional Eastern meditation techniques. A Yogaville school teaches them the usual reading, writing, and arithmetic.
45, leave a little space, 67. Got it?
The temple is called Lotus, which stands for the Light of Truth Universal Shrine. In it are shrines to all of the world's great religions. The people of Yogaville believe that the God of all religions is one and the same. Yogaville has borrowed from many established religions, especially from Hinduism, one of the world's oldest living religions. The Americans who study and worship here are still in the process of formulating their own traditions. In Yogaville, we see something unusual, a religion in the process of creating its own unique cultural and social ties. As we learn about other religions, they will seem less strange to us. We'll probably find that some of the beliefs and practices of other people are not that different from our own. Whatever our religion, whether we are Jewish, Protestant, Catholic, Buddhist, Hindi, Muslim, or any other, or if we have no strong religious beliefs, we all have to live together, and we all need to get along.
Interesting. Could y'all relate to most everybody in there? Kind of, sort of? I found that film about a year or so ago, and every time I see it, I learn a little bit more about different folks' faith. One of the things that on the tape, you can go on the internet and get this, but I found this actually last night on the website. This thing called Spirit Walk. If y'all have it there, I just want to look at it for just a second. I think it was Mahatma Gandhi said, all roads cross at the same point. It's not so important which road we're taking. It's important that we all cross at the same point. And that's sort of that sense of, we're all talking about the mystery of life and God and the ways the mysteries encountered us through our sacred stories and myths and emanations and expressions to different people over time. But this is prayers for peace from all these different religions. And I thought it was just fascinating because you'll see the word prayer for peace is in all of them. That first one, just to look at a couple of them, is, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there's hatred, let me show love. Where there's injury, pardon, doubt, faith. Where there's despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there's sadness, joy. Goes on there. On the next page, the Native American prayer, and we looked at that a few classes ago. O great spirit of our ancestors, I raise my pipe to you, to your messengers of the four winds, to Mother Earth who provides your children. Give us wisdom to teach our children to love and respect and be kind to each other, that we may grow with peace of mind. Let us learn to share all good things that provide for the earth. And I'm not really trying to skip anyone. The Buddhist prayer you'll see at the top. May all things everywhere plagued with suffering of body and mind quickly be freed from their illnesses. And down toward the bottom of that part. May those who find themselves in trackless, fearless wilderness, the children, the aged, the unprotected be guarded by beneficial celestials. May they swiftly attain Buddhahood. I don't know who the Sheikh, S-K-H, what is that? Is Psyc? Is that a Muslim group? It's an Indian group from India? And then Baha'i. See, I was thinking about you. Their Baha'i faith prayer is be generous in prosperity, thankful in adversity, be fair in judgment, and guarded in thy speech, be a lamp for those who walk in darkness, a home to strangers, be eyes to the blind, a guiding light, unto the feet of the erring, be a breath of life to the body of mankind, dew to the soul, I love that, of the human heart, and a fruit upon the tree of humility. And what's a Janist? Does anybody know that group? Is that another Hinduism? See, I thought that was cool. And then on the back, the Muslim prayer. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the mercy, praise be to the Lord, universe who's created us, made us into tribes and nations. In the bottom of that prayer, and the servants of God most gracious are those who walk on the earth in humility, and when we address them, we shall say peace. See, isn't it interesting? You see, everybody's looking for the same thing. Connection, peace, healing, hope. And then the Zoroastrian prayer, I've been privileged to study the Zoroastrians, which Judaism and Christianity, actually some of the Muslim comes out of that. We pray to God to eradicate all the misery of the world. Do I hear an amen out there? Especially beginning in my life. That understanding triumphed of ignorance, that generosity triumphed over indifference, and trust triumphed over contempt, and truth triumphed over falsehood. And then the native African prayer at the end, Almighty God, the great thumb. Isn't that interesting? The great thumb we cannot evade to tie any knot. What a great metaphor there. The roaring thunder that splits mighty trees, the all-seeing Lord up on high who sees even the footprints of an antelope on the rock mass on the earth. You are the one who does not hesitate to respond to our call. You are the cornerstone of peace. Anyway, I just thought that was really neat to see how what really happens to most of us in contemporary America is a lot of people just don't have any kind of inner journey working. And part of that is because faith development seems to take stages, and I want to look at some of those before we have our presentation here. On this is John Westerhoff's 4 stages of faith. And again, this is a good test question, and still working on that. And let me just show you this. And there's not meant to be any shame, or we're just exploring the different aspects of our lives and journeys, and not only in cultures but in individuals. So there's no shame like where you ought to be or should be or have to be. It's just where we are. But these stages of faith development, and the first stage is what's he called experience faith. And this is really, this is really childhood. And this is where we imitate others. Imitating, M-A-T-A-T, imitating actions. We sort of, the child follows the actions of the culture, the tribe, the faith worship. It's this is where we are the rituals, and really the sights, sounds, and smells of faith that the child can't even think about but is born in. Sight, sound, and even smell. Someplace do incense, colors, all of that. But where the main thrust of it is we imitate the action of those who were born into. This is an experience faith. And it's kind of what you're born into. And you don't have a choice. You're just there, and you experience whatever that is. And I guess it would even be the experience of non-faith if you grew up in that environment. But it's called, the first stage is called experience faith. Let's be positive about it. So many people have faith. This is what we do. This is how we act as a family, our tribe, our culture. See, this is what we do. This is the God we believe in. This is the way we worship. And so that's an experience faith. And I'd say everybody kind of probably grows up in that in some way. The second stage is what he calls an affiliative faith. And this is really during adolescence. And the affiliative faith, affiliative has to do with groups and connecting. This is really has to do with belonging to a group. Not just because your family did, but because this is what your friends do. See, this is where your friends are. it might be called the family of faith, the extended family, not just the family of faith. Like we were talking biculturally, you may do your thing with all kinds of people during the week, but on a certain day of worship, you go and join with those people because that's your group you worship with, grow with, learn about your faith with. But it's the affiliative faith is the second stage. And this is where we imitate the group. You'll often see this in dress. People wear certain clothes. You also see people, I've seen different Christian groups will have certain T-shirts. They'll all have their camp they go to, or they'll wear certain shirts that define what brand of Christianity they're in. And, we see them all over campus. You see them everywhere. TV has people like this all the time. But this is affiliative faith where the question is what does our group believe? What does our group believe? What do we do? And again, this is going on during the adolescent years that we go through that. The next stage is, what does our group believe? What did I mess up there? What does our group believe? And again, this is during adolescence, which may be from like 11 and 12. You don't start abstract thinking till 11 or 12 years old, and it really kicks in at 15, 16, 17. But what's interesting is the affiliative stage of faith and the next stage, which is called searching faith, really kind of happens about the same time, strangely enough. And this is the stage of, I guess it's, Westerhoff calls it late adolescence. I'm not sure what that is, since adolescence goes on in some cultures. But it's certainly not, say, junior high students. It's college students, people who start dealing with ideas. And this is where doubts and questions come in. Doubts and questions start. There is no blind allegiance. And during this time, this is where the head is added to the heart. This is what's really fun about an academic setting. Not just in classes we talk about these things, but this is where when we meet groups around campus and what they're teaching and learning, and a lot of people don't get involved in that because it kind of makes your brain mushy because you're having to learn all these things from other groups. But this is where we're saying, well, why do you believe what you believe? And isn't that just what your parents believe? And are you still going to be mommy and daddy's little girl or boy for your rest of your life? Or is that really who you are? Or is that just... And so we go through this period of searching, doubt, questioning, and often that's the same time we're going through this affiliative time during adolescence when we're finding sort of our fellowship or a group of people that are growing together and inspire us. But we also hit this other place where we are seeking sort of a certainty. We're seeking a certainty of faith. And I think this searching faith, as a psychotherapist, a psychologist of 26 years that I've been counseling people, about 1,000 a year, 26,000 hours of sitting and listening to people. You find in midlife, when the first half of life things don't turn out like we think. Remember, half the couples get divorced in this culture. Often this searching, who am I, where am I going, not just marriage, it could be the job you seek, you get fired or you get burnt out. in midlife, in our 30s often, and 40s, we begin to reassess stuff just like we do in our adolescent period. And it's a wonderful time as a therapist because people are eager to grow. The pain of life has come back, and they're going, it's not simple, it's complex. And I go, yeah, isn't it great? And I'm confused, and I said, yeah, isn't it wonderful? Now you get to go on an adventure. Now maybe you'll find some things you never knew. But this searching faith development, that fourth stage, and the two choices either, and we can go in two directions, Westerhoff says. And one is toward non-belief, and we're not in a class to discover that, to express what all that is. Or one direction is non-belief, and the two is we move to the next stage. Yes, sir.
My question is a little off topic, but do you have a book? Or are you planning on writing a book anytime soon?
Oh, yeah, I am working on some books. Thanks for asking that. I'll give you an autographed copy. You can buy an autographed copy. Yeah, thank you for doing that. But I've a lot of the stuff I've been teaching and doing is stuff that I got interested in high school and college. I just thought this crazy idea, and this is really weird, I know, and I know many of you are there. I just thought, I wonder if I pursue my interest, if I could just make a living being Herb Agan. And I've worked 31 different jobs since I was 14. I've worked a lot of jobs. But I've just always wanted to pursue what I was curious about and what turned me on, what frustrated me, my questions, my doubts, my curiosities. And I've just sort of been doing that, and I've been very fortunate that people actually pay me to be me, and that's kind of weird, isn't it? And it's sort of the road less traveled, but it seems very fulfilling when you can do that. I had a lot of offers to go to work in corporate America and do things, and, being a white male, you get all the lucky breaks. But I said, I just seemed so boring to me. It seemed to be there's more to life than just go make a lot of money. Not that I'm against making money. Okay, so the fourth stage is what he calls owned faith. And this is stage where it's where we come to the place to say, this is what I believe. And I think we come through this. That's supposed to be an exclamation mark. I think this takes years to get here, and most people kind of bail out. Our suffering can often lead us to faith. Our curiosity, nature always draws me to the mystery. Because, I can't look at a flower and not wonder about the author of all this stuff, either literally or metaphorically. Like, what is going on here? Life is so beautiful, so interesting. But what happens is many people just bail out when they get to this searching thing, or they see other religious people they don't like, and they go, I'm not going there. I always say a person who's a nerd, real nerdy that you don't like, when they come to faith, usually they're a nerd in their faith for a long time until they begin to grow and kind of develop their life. But this own faith is Westerhoff's fourth stage of faith development. And this is after exploring. And it leaves room for doubt and faith the whole way, the doubt-faith motif, which is paradoxes and ironies. See, a person who's owned their faith, who says, I've had this mystical encounter with God, and this works in my life, and it's a strength I draw from within. That person can handle doubt, faith, paradoxes, can hold the tension of these things, and even to the point that they build their whole life around this and share it naturally with other people. When you meet someone who has a real kind of spirituality about them, a connection, you kind of know it. You kind of know it. Because they're really not pushing it on anybody, but it kind of oozes out when I meet people like this. And here's what's really fun, is they could be of any denomination or religion and have a real sense of own inner world. And their own faith has a vital, intimate, connection with the divine. That's a with the divine. And see, I'm leaving all those terms rather vague, but of course they're not. And I find over the years I learned from so many different people that helps me in my own attempt to, find my own faith, my own journey. Just makes life a whole lot more interesting and fun while I'm watching the basketball and football games and enjoying the good life and working through struggles. So any questions on that? So there's a good test question, right? So what are Westerhoff's 4 stages of faith development, and list each one of them, the experiential, experience, affiliative, searching, and owned, and write a little about each one. Fair question? Kind of? And do you kind of see where you are in there, sort of, maybe? I mean, not that you have to be any place. That's my hope, is that you'll just say, well, maybe this is where I am. And okay, let's have our presentation, and I've got some other stuff to look at. So y'all want to come on up and do our little deal? Oh, Charity, you're on today, too. I forgot about that. Let's give a big hand. They've worked real hard for this for a long time.
Mine was over religion in America. They do go together. And the video we watched is kind of not at all what he was trying to put across. It wasn't about the different religions. It wasn't about who was right, who was wrong. It was about the fact that the government is taking religion out of our nation. And it was really fascinating to me, everything that I read, and about Jefferson and how he was a complex man, and he was actually a deist, and he believed that there was a God, but that God didn't really have anything to do with his life, Jefferson's life. And even though he, had all these different things that he thought, he was kind of one of those people that collects things from different people, he still acknowledged that there was a God and that there was a higher being that gave him, I guess, strength, and that, maybe he didn't have all the answers. Jefferson knew that there was somebody above him. And I think that when reading this article, that's what stood out to me the most, was that, to me, and I'm going to pick on politicians and stuff, but that's what's wrong with our nation, is that the politicians, the elites, these people, they have the control, because money is control. When you're in politics, you have control. And when you have this control, you don't want to admit that there's anybody above you, because in doing that, you lose control. You can't say I have control over everything anymore. And so to me, it's not about, with the nation and with the whole prayer in school and all that stuff, to me, it's not even about the fact that they don't want us to pray. It's that they don't want to lose control over us. And so in doing that, they're saying, we're going to take prayer out of school because it goes against the First Amendment, which that was put there to help us, to keep the government from doing that exact thing. It was there to protect us from the government. And now, they're taking religion out of something, using the establishment clause that was there to protect us. They're using that against us. And so totally agreed with his article. And the thing about it is, it's not about different religions. It's about us as a nation saying, look, we're here, we're reading the Declaration of Independence, and it says that we have the freedom to worship in our own way, whatever way that is that we do it. And so I will fight for this, because it's something that's important to me in my life. And so I just wondered, does anybody else have anything to add in? I'm kind of just going off the cuff. I don't really, I'm just saying what, but
I think the fear is that autonomy will lead to anarchy. And that tends to be why the powers that be like to control things. That if people are given really their autonomy and freedom, that people will all turn on each other. And really the studies show the opposite is true. People find autonomy and freedom, they really want others to have it too. But your point's well taken. It's all about control, isn't it?
It is. It's kind of scary
Fear,
to me.
fear and control.
But
Anybody else have a question or comment? Did we get on the under God? Was that in your article? From or one of y'all's articles? You know, where the Pledge of Allegiance, when they put the under God part in there?
that wasn't in mine.
I'll talk about it in a minute.
Oh, maybe it was.
Okay.
I did read the article, but the question I had, just maybe this will help, but do you feel that you have the right to practice your faith without government interference in school? I guess it's a little different in college, but in high school, did anybody face that? Maybe that y'all have to pray every...
Well, there's actually some problems going on right now in certain schools. I teach at a Sunday school, and a lot of the girls will come to me and they'll complain about certain teachers not allowing them to go and pray. And I mean, even they won't even give them rooms during lunchtime or anything like that. It's just a big problem, and it's hard because you have a certain time restriction on how late you can pray, and so by the time they get home, they'll miss it. So that's a problem.
Right. And I read something in there about a teacher that had a Bible study off school hours, and that was just, I was appalled at the fact that she couldn't even practice her religion outside of school. I feel like if she got fired, and I feel like she has if she wants to be a part of it on school campus, so be it. It's the freedom of religion, as long as you're not forcing anybody to do it. I don't see what's wrong with that, so.
Yeah, but you went to a religious school, didn't you?
In high school, I did. I didn't in middle school and elementary.
He has a lot of good questions with all that. A lot of good questions.
At my high school, they did allow the kids to pray and stuff. During Ramadan, the Muslim students were allowed to skip lunch to go to this one room and go pray or whatever. And there's also a after school Muslim club. And there they would just talk and then they would pray. So in the school allowed them.
Does that have a lot to do with the fact that we're, I'm not really into politics at all, but that we're a Republican state? I mean, in California, it seems like it'd be a little harder to do that with it being...
Or we're more conservative.
Right.
Liberal, yeah.
Right.
Assuming Republicans are conservative and liberals.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe so. That's a good point.
Okay.
Thanks. Thanks, Jerry.
I'm going to talk about the second article, which is support for prayer in schools and creationism. And the article talks...
Great job, thanks.
The article talks about why school prayer and creationism continue to receive widespread public support. And he talks about two different views. And the first view is that these proposals are simply alternative expressions of religious political conservatism, and a competing interpretation is that although they're related, there are distinct issues deriving from different social bases. And he also talks about two interpretations, and it's one that school prayer and creationism are essentially alternative expressions of conservative Christian traditionism. And people who agree with this argue that the new Christian right sympathizers promote these issues as part of a large campaign including homophobia, anti-pornography, and anti-feminism. And the other interpretation is that the two issues are substantially distinct. They view that school prayer and biblical creationism were traditional acknowledgments of the sacred in public education, and thus religiously and political conservative persons tend to support both proposals. And it just goes on and talks about this study that they formed, and he's going to talk about the percentages of this study.
All right, hi everybody. basically, she just covered the first part, which was mostly the information given in the article, sort of like an introduction to what the study was going to be about. Basically, the article we read was a technical summary of the study, and it included many hypotheses. Among one of them was that the older, less educated, and rural individuals significantly, that they were going to support prayer in school and creationism more than others, more than the educated class. And it just so happens that 64% agreed that organized prayer should be part of school activities. 74% agree that biblical creationism should have equal weight as the theory of evolution taught in schools. And 63% of the whole sample thought that religion was very important in their lives. Over 55% of them attended weekly services, and 86% accepted the biblical account of the creation that Genesis is told in the Bible. And politically speaking, it was skewed towards the conservative side and less on the liberal. And one of the hypotheses was determined. Many of them were like on the mixed range. You know, sometimes they did concur with the data given. And one of the interesting parts of the way the study was conducted was that it was through phone calls during the months of November and December of 1988. And the political views were like the liberals took up about 19.2% of the people interviewed. The middle of the road, like where people were either both, they took up 46.3%, and the conservatives were at an even 34.5%. And to finish this off, I'd like to ask each and every one of you a question, and that is that, does religion still have its place in America today as it did back then? Back like when that study was conducted, like during that era.
Are you asking us why is religion important in America today?
No, does it still have its place as it did back then? Like where the percentage wise? All right, let me ask one more question. All right, that's okay. If a study similar to this one were to be made again today, would the results be the same or vary in any other way? Or like the majority supported school prayer and creationism together?
I think I don't think so. I think that it's turned into like something to where we feel like, or where it's become something that we're discriminating against each other. It's like we've turned on each other, and we're not supporting it as a whole. It's like, no, well, I don't want the Christians to be able to pray. I don't want the Muslims to be able to pray. I think that there's like this feeling of discrimination that we have to be defensive about that, and I think that would change the way that we feel about it when it's not about that. It's about the whole purpose. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you said.
What's she saying?
I think we had another question. Answer.
I was just gonna say I don't think it's gonna change a lot, because the 1980s were a time of religion, and like the more conservative government, and the Reagan was more open about his religious views, and I think that like the people in power have become less interested in religion, and therefore we see less of it. So therefore we wouldn't.
Not today. It's worse. It's more conservative today, at least in the White House, isn't it?
But their religious views aren't as open, or as like, I know Bush goes to church, but I don't really know what anything he stands for, or
All right, that's
What does Bush stand for? Who can throw that out there? Why is it frightening today? Why is it? I mean, this is a class
Bush
on
is a
world
dud.
culture. Why is it frightening about what's going on in the White House in terms of the conservative side? Yeah.
I think it's frightening because Bush is like a hypocrite, because for him to be a Christian, he like lied and cheated his way to the White House. So for him to get on a, so for him to get on a,
At least Clinton didn't lie.
he did.
No, yeah. Yeah, it's just. Good point. Anybody else had a question or comment? Are you done, kind of, sort of? I'll take it from here. Good job. Well, yeah, I'm not trying to have a political whatever here, but other than to say what happens is whenever times get tough and we start living, and I'll sit down here if you want me to. Stacy. Did she leave? Oh, there she is. There I am. At some level, when things get fearful, we get conservative, don't we? We circle the wagons. We start, whenever we get fearful, we, in fact, I wasn't going to hand this out today, but why did I do that anyway? Want to do this? This is an article y'all can get out of your you can pass these out over there, too. We'll cover this today because this is important. Remember we talked about those fears that we have, the basic fears? The fear of what? Abandonment, the fear of smothering, the fear of change, fear of being attacked, exposed, the fear of dying. If anybody reads a paper or watches the news nowadays, do you get the sense that there's just a lot of fear that roams the whole country and the world? Does anybody pick that up? It's just fear out there. And so when it's natural for us when we get afraid to start getting conservative. And, if I'm going to get attacked, I'm going to build a wall up to protect myself. And human beings are so frightened by the unknown naturally that what happens is we start looking for black and white simplistic answers to life, dealing with the difficulties. Did y'all get this over there? They didn't get it. Okay. Let me just read this. I think this is good, and this is going to ask you all to step up a notch in your awareness. But let me read this fundamental fearfulness. And we're not trying to attack or point fingers at anybody except ourselves and the whole world about us. Because remember, what we'll learn about projection is everything that's wrong with the world is wrong with me. Everything that's wrong with my parents is wrong with me, although my parents are dead. I'm not dead yet. But everything's wrong with your best friend. Your enemy is wrong with you. It helps to withdraw the projection. Because the thing I don't like in another, and we'll look at this at the next class, what I don't like in somebody else is something in myself I may haven't come to terms with. And the more you don't like it in another, the more it really gets under your skin, chances are it's you. So it's best to withdraw the projection and look at your own stuff. In the book for the class, Owning Your Own Shadow, on Chapter 2 about romantic love, particularly looks a lot about projection, and there'll be we're going to look at that. Let me just read this in a way of understanding this, because the American novelist Nelson, I'm just going to hold it. Oh, I'll put it there. Do you have another copy for me? Do you like it here? I don't think anybody can read it, but does he show them I'm reading it, Stacy? Oh, that's what I'm reading. And you can look at there or look at me, either one. But the American novelist Nelson Algren, author of Man with a Golden Arm, a conundrum lover of Simon de Beauvoir. What is that? Beauvoir. Yeah, Beauvoir. Once articulated 3 rules of civilized existence. This is really good. They were, to wit, never eat at a place called Ma's. I always look for those places because I figure 10,000 flies can't all be wrong. Never play poker with a guy named Doc, and never go to bed with someone who has more problems than you. It's good for single people looking to be wedded one day. Perhaps a similar bottom line piece of advice is never underestimate the power of fear. We live in one of those historic interludes when the old myth no longer serves and the new myth has not yet arrived. Though its lineaments are already emerging in the Orphean testimonies of artists, prophets, and in the dream you dream tonight. Since humankind ill tolerates a vacuum or ambiguity, we find this moment filled with rancorous rhetoric and moralistic urgency. See, he's writing, this is a guy who's the director of the Young Center here in town. And in fact, tonight is their big fundraising banquet, which I'm going to. Since those who are most frightened are most urgent, most likely to seek support from their own kind, they have an inordinate influence on the political rhetoric, which has increasingly turned exclusionary, violent, and divisive. As finite creatures, we cannot appropriate or begin to understand the mystery we call God. As we know, Jung asked the most important question of our time, namely, where did the gods go when they left Mount Olympus? This answer is that they left the verbal husk they once inhabited, like Zeus, Aphrodite, Artemis, and the like, and they entered the solar plexus. As psychic energies, they still move us as surely as they once radiantly stood atop the luminous mount. And see, let me say this. What that means is, in our anxieties, our fears, our depressions, the solar plexus, in our psyche, our inner world that shudders and shakes us and woos us, often is where we find the energy of life force now. A God is the incarnate image of the mysterious energy which animates the cosmos. When the energy enters an image, it grows numinous and attracts the corresponding depth dimension within us, like drawn to like. When that energy leaves the image, a God dies, a civilization withers, a love pales, an ego complex is outgrown. See, that can simply mean, remember why you were in love with somebody at one time? Fell in love with them, you couldn't live without them? And now it's like, what was that all about? See, because there was energy there and then it left. See? What is divine is the energy, not the husk, which is what it once inhabited. To reify, to worship the image, is to adore the husk when the mystery is departed. Our elders had a name for it. It was called idolatry. Idolatry is the greatest of sins, as the prophets reminded us, for it seeks to fix, to hold, and to circumscribe what is godly. Such is impiety, for it seeks to limit the divine. It's sort of like saying, okay, God, you worked here one time and you have to keep working here over and over again. I frequently counsel people who say, but I love my lover, my spouse. I have this relationship has to work. And it's not working. I've heard people in my office say, I'd rather be dead than divorced. Because they're so afraid of the change, and who wouldn't be? But they're saying, no, it has to come back. It has to be here when life moves the energy someplace else. And that's kind of what he's talking about here. A kind of fundamentalism, be it religious, political, Jungian, is blasphemous, for it serves the most rudimentary of ego needs, namely security, at the price of respect for the mystery. To cling to our images served as an understandable palliative to our anxiety in the face of change and ambiguity. But such an ego fixation is contrary to a faithful affirmation of the freedom of the mystery to pursue its own incarnational ends. That is verbose, very wordy, but it's powerful what he's talking about. In short, the anxiety of ambiguity seeks to limit the autonomy of mystery by fixing an image, a fixation of an image that is literalism. Literalism is idolatry. The truly religious apprehension of life, the depth psychology perspectives, oblige all of us to suffer the anxiety of ambiguity and ride the current of soul as it permeates and await incarnation, a new venue. What else is faith then but respectful iconoclasm and the strength to wait upon the mystery? Let me say this. If I tell you in this room, there's a college girl, a woman out there, and she's really a fox. Nobody is thinking of little funky ears and a bushy tail. If I say, I saw this guy, he's a rat, nobody's thinking little funky ears and a long skinny tail. Why? Because you're not literalizing my comment. You're taking the analogy and the metaphor of it. And what people do in the religious world is they take sacred stories and they literalize them when in fact the power is in the symbol. That's what he's trying to get at. And when we get afraid, we start literalizing things and we lose its power and its wonder. Let me give you another one. Lanny over here. If I say, what? Elijah over here. Thank you. Where's Lanny? Lanny's not here today. Elijah over here. If I say Elijah runs like an antelope, what do you call that? An analogy, a simile. If I say Elijah, when he runs, he is an antelope, what do you call that? It's a metaphor. And you would accept that, because you know he's not an antelope. See? So when we come to understanding the religious world, and this is what he's talking about, is when we get too literalistic, we start chopping each other up. Any police officer or therapist will quickly attest that no one is more dangerous than the frightened person. Since our age is betwixt and between connecting mythic images, many are very deeply troubled and unable and unwilling to do their work with the shadow. Surely it does none of us any good to acquiesce to the fearfulness of those who fractionate our society, assault gays, degenerate women, polarize and persecute. All of us need to stand up to bigotry, to projection, to the vast abysm of unconsciousness, even as we recall that the most difficult of all tasks for the frightened people is to face what most frightens them. Man, this just sounds like preaching. It is so good. See, because what we do, the things we don't understand, we go and attack people who represent what we don't understand without owning that our problem is we don't understand it. Did you know that? We go kill people who are different because they make us uncomfortable, and it's our discomfort that's the problem. It's not those other people. Concurrent with standing up against fearful forces, we are obliged to attend some of our own fearfulness, our own fundamentalism of word, habit, and ideology. The antidote to the deterioration of faithless fundamentalism is the radical trust that there is in the transcendent order which will be found paradoxically within. The willingness to live such a risk with such psychic danger opens us to the enigma described by Frederick Holderlin in his 1903 Hymn of Patmos, that which so terrifies us is most dear and most near. God is near, but difficult to grasp. However, where danger is greatest, the godly draws nearest. What is he really saying there? Can anybody summarize that? It's a lot of words, a lot of stuff. Well, let me say it. Does anybody get a glimpse of what he's saying? He's saying when we get afraid, the desire is to control everything. And in fact, that's at the place inwardly we must be willing to surrender to learn more. And to not let our fear cause us to destroy one another, rather than look within and find out where I'm obliged to grow and to become and to deal with life. And do you see the paradox? I both have to protect myself, but I both have to protect life as it is too. It creates these very ironies and paradoxes, which is the essence of faith in and of itself. So we kind of stumbled into that with y'all's comments today, and I guess that's one of the reasons I enjoy looking at cultural psychology and stuff, is we have a chance to appreciate it. Before we stop, let me put it over here on this projection. We didn't do this yesterday about Islam. What is it positively that you project on the Islamic culture, or anybody who has a deep, outgoing faith? Another positive projection. We'll stop with Clay. What's a positive projection? What do you respect, admire about, we did Islam, but it could be anyone who has a very overt faith experience. What is it? Yeah, there's a dedication, isn't there? There's dedication to, I'll just put to the eternal, to something greater than what we see. What are a couple other things you like about that? People of faith. Anything else? Because something positive.
The calmness.
What? There's a calmness?
Yeah, or an acceptance of things they can't control.
Yeah, there's calmness and an acceptance. Yeah. A couple of more things. There seems to be a supportive community. And a lot of my white friends that I know don't have supportive communities like Afro-Americans have, Hispanics have. I think people of Islamic faith have a supportive community. And I'm telling you, people have communities, but they don't have supportive communities. Real deep. What else? Anything else you see? What, respect for what? Respect for life and meaning. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm doing this same theme over and over again just to tell us, acknowledge that there are things all around us we can look at and grow from. And anyway, good class today, and I'll see you all next class. Thank you very much.